So after another hectic weekend in the Championship, we are back for another episode of the Championship Roundup, where we'll be going over all of this weekend's action. And we got a lot of talking points to go over. We had a couple of upsets going on this weekend, a lot of controversial decisions, which I'm always interested to get your guys' opinions on. As well as that, tomorrow I will have another score predictions video coming out for my Boxing Day score predictions. We'll also be doing a Christmas giveaway in that video as well, so make sure you are sticking around for that one. And of course, before we get into anything, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors over at OneFootball. As always, their link will be in the top link of the description down below. As we have so much going on in the Championship at the moment, it's hard to keep up with everything, so over on the OneFootball app you can go ahead and try your best to keep up with everything going on at the moment. Obviously we do have the matches coming up on Boxing Day, which we'll be predicting in tomorrow's video, so you can go ahead and keep up to date with everything that is going on. You can go ahead and check out the league table and everything like that, and things are switching around rapidly at the moment. We've got Barnsley off the bottom at the moment, so a lot going on. OneFootball link in the description. And before we do get into any of the individual games, I will include your guys' score predictions on screen now, so if any of you did successfully manage to get any of your predictions correct, then fair play. I just got the one correct this week, that being the Fulham against Leeds match, which was an interesting one, but not too bad going from me. But without any further ado, let's hop in to talk about these games. So starting out with the big game at the bottom of the table, which went on Friday night, which saw Middlesbrough claiming all 3 points against Stoke City, beating them 2-1 and coming from behind to pick up all 3 points. The first half of this game did take a little bit of time to get going. It was a little bit dull in the first half, but Stoke opened the screen in the 53rd minute after the Borough keeper Piers had originally made a good save. Sam Clucas followed it in to make it 1-0 to Stoke. And we mentioned it quite a few times lately with Wigan and throwing away leads, getting into good positions but then throwing them away. But Stoke have been guilty of that quite a bit lately too, you have to say. You know, thinking back to the whole game when they took the lead, another one in this game, and they've ended up with no points from it. But brilliant response from Middlesbrough after going behind. It was a fantastic ball from Johnny Howson here, who had no real pressure on him in the midfield. Stoke was sat fairly in a deep block by that point, but a brilliant ball over the top into Ashley Fletcher. He headed it in to make it 1-1, and then Lewis Wing, I mean, he doesn't score tap-ins, does he? On the break, once again, Stoke, some players in their midfield caught out of position. Middlesbrough had a free run at them moving forward, and a fantastic hit from Lewis Wing to give Borough all 3 points in this one. Looking at the league table now, Stoke City, if Wigan pick up a point tonight against Blackburn, Stoke will go bottom of the table with Barnsley winning this weekend. And the mentality and quality in that squad at the moment, there are real functionality issues with that team, you know. I mean, we were seeing people cupping their ears to the fans a few weeks ago, and now they could be sat at bottom of the table come the end of the day. A complete mess at Stoke at the moment, and I don't really know what the answer is. A big 3 points from Middlesbrough though, and some big performers in that one. Daniel Ayala, really good at the back for them. Johnny Howson also I thought looked good in midfield, and Fletcher is making some nice moves going forward. As the early kick-off on Saturday, that ended as a goalless draw between Cardiff and Northend. As a Preston fan, just a very frustrating game really. We were playing some decent football, especially in the first half. We had some nice sort of passing combinations. We went for that forward three of Maguire, Barkhuizen and Billy Bowden. They were sort of interchanging between themselves as the match went on, and they were causing Cardiff problems, you know. We did create a lot of openings in this match. It's just we cannot score away from home at the moment. We've failed to score from open play now in our last 6 away matches in the Championship. I feel like more than anything that goes to show that we are in need of a striker in the January transfer window. Lately Ivan Toney's been the latest name being mentioned, but I'm not sure how realistic that is with our budget. But at the moment something needs to change about that, because we did have the chances to go on and win this game, and I thought we were the better side, to be honest. Maguire had a catalogue of chances. He hit the side netting a couple of times. Billy Bowden had a good chance which was well saved by Etheridge. Galley had one that just went wide. Alan Brown was presented with a glorious opportunity in the second half when he had either Maguire or Barkhuizen to slip in either side, and in the end he went for a tame shot into the hands of Etheridge. But finishing as a goalless draw was a frustrating one, and Cardiff didn't really offer much going forward. Their best chance probably came in the first half when Lee Tomlin dragged one just wide from outside the box. Apart from that, they didn't really click into gear, Cardiff, for this one. They were quite poor. For Northend though, it was Ben Pearson who was dominating things in the midfield. Absolutely brilliant at breaking up play and getting us moving going forward. It's just a shame that we just don't have that striker at the moment. And then we have Fulham beating Leeds by 2-1. I managed to predict this one last time, and I got a bit of stick in the comments down below for saying I thought that Fulham would win this one, but they did do so in fairly controversial circumstances. Obviously Leeds didn't get off to the best start for this game, with Pablo Hernandez going off with an injury after just 3 minutes. I think it has been confirmed since that he is going to be missing for around about a month, so that is going to be quite the blow to Leeds. Obviously Pablo has already missed a bit of the season so far through injury as well, but Fulham took the lead after 7 minutes after one of the most softest penalties I've ever seen given in my life was awarded to Fulham. It was adjudged to have been a push from Ben White on Bobby Reid, but it wasn't even that. He just touched the player. Like, you're allowed to touch other people on the pitch. You are allowed to do that. I'd be amazed if anyone disagreed with that really, but Mitrovic took the penalty, just about stuck it away, and Fulham led going into half time. The game was fairly stretched in the second half and fairly open. Both sides were having chances. Leeds, while probably not at their best, were still operating. Things were going very close, and the equaliser was actually really well taken. A brilliant pass from Alioski into Nketiah, who was brought on at half time. time. He had the shot, which was well saved by Rodak, but Patrick Bamford was there on the spot to make it 1-1. But it just wasn't to be for Leeds in this one. Mitrovic had done well originally from the corner. It fell to Josh Onoma, who absolutely smashed it in to make it 2-1 to Fulham, and from then on Leeds couldn't come up with the equaliser. So Fulham winning this one. If I was a Leeds fan, I still wouldn't be all too concerned really. They're still 8 points clear and one of the most consistent performers in the Championship. In terms of Fulham, if they are ever going to step up, then now needs to be the time really. I think looking at their fixture list, their next 8 or so are very favourable. They're not playing a lot of sides in the top half of the table. I think that in the next 10 games, the majority of them are quite winnable for that Fulham squad, really. So if they're ever going to put a run together and really challenge for that top 2, now needs to be the time. Huddersfield have managed to put 6 points between themselves and the relegation zone with a 2-1 home victory over Nottingham Forest. Obviously, Forest were looking to bounce back from that horror show they had last time out, and a bit of a concern, the form that Forest are on at the moment. It seems to always happen to them at this point of the season, but 5 games now without winning the Championship, they've slipped down to 9th in the table. It was Huddersfield who took the lead, defending from set pieces. Criminal defending by Forest in this one. The ball was swung in after Chalber's initial effort was blocked. Christopher Schindler followed in with a really well taken volley to give Huddersfield the lead going into half-time. At half-time, the tempers seemed to be really flaring up between the two managers. I'm not sure what all that was about, but if you could let me know, leave it in the comments down below. But those two didn't seem to like each other come full-time. Steve Munier then made it 2-0 for Huddersfield, though. Once again, poor defending from Forest at the corner. This time, Joe Worrell, really, you'd be expecting him to do a little bit better in those situations. But Huddersfield made it 2-0. Eventually, Forest did manage to wake up. Joe Worrell did get a goal back for Forest, and then for the final 15 minutes of this game, they were really pushing for that equaliser. Had some brilliant chances to do so, but Grabra, the Huddersfield goalkeeper, I thought had a terrific game, making some big saves. There was one particular chance at the end where Thiago Silva put a brilliant ball across the box into Matty Cash, but Grabra was there to keep Huddersfield in it. So them winning 2-1, big result for them at the bottom of the table. In terms of Forest, although it was an improved performance with them creating more chances going forward, defending from set pieces let them down for this one. And it's now 3 defeats in a row for Birmingham, who find themselves 15th in the Championship. For this one, they got dominated from minute 1, really. They were so open at the back, and Hull really were finding a lot of joy out of them. For the first half, Hull had quite a few openings. They just couldn't really get much on target. Eventually, though, Tommy's giving them the lead. He got a run on the defender, made a nice run to the near post, and then headed it back across goal to give Hull the lead going into half-time. For that second half, the same momentum was carrying on with Hull having the better of the chances. Grosicki slipped through on goal, and then with a fantastic dink over Truman to make it 2-0. Real bit of quality for that finish, and then eventually Lewis Potter makes it 3-0 in the 88th minute. Once again, some brilliant footwork for that goal, and then smashes it across goal to make it 3. Birmingham have obviously been quite a work in progress so far this season. I still feel like the whole Birmingham fan base is a bit split on what they make of Pep at the moment, but there's no hiding from that this was a very poor performance, and they dropped way below their standards of expectation. For Hull, though, once again, really well organised and some really fluid play going forward. They've got that in them to rip teams apart when they're at home. Swansea found themselves back up to 7th in the table, just outside the playoffs on goal difference after back-to-back wins and beating Luton by 1-0. Andre Ayew once again picking up all 3 points for Swansea in this one, and it was the away side who did dominate for large parts of this one. They just couldn't quite get that goal. It was Sluga back in net for Luton for this one, and he came up with a string of saves, to be fair to him, was keeping Luton in it at times. Luton were looking to be compact, and their best chance of the game probably came in the second half. Harry Cornick going around the goalkeeper. He squared it, the goalkeeper nowhere to be seen, but Swansea did well to get a block in there, and the away side continued to press as the game went on. Byers did go down in the box. He was booked for a dive, but I mean, looking back on it, I thought it was a penalty. I'd have to see a different angle of it to be sure, but to me at least it did look like a penalty. He was booked for diving, but eventually Swansea did come up with a winner. Andre Ayew, the ball hooked towards him, and in the end he just had a tap in really. But some decent limbs in the away end for Swansea, who seemingly have picked their form back up. For Luton, bit of a concern at the moment. Obviously with Barnsley picking up back-to-back wins, they could be in the relegation zone come the new year. And then we have Barnsley claiming their first away victory of the season, beating Millwall by 2-1. Now, about a month ago, Barnsley were looking dead and buried. They were rock bottom of the table. They couldn't defend to save their life, and they were getting battered most weeks really. But after this recent string of results, suddenly they're off the bottom of the table. They've gone above both Stoke and Wigan in the table, and they're only 1 point off safety behind Luton at the moment. So God knows what's possible for Barnsley going forward now. The first half between these two sides didn't look to be the best. There wasn't the most quality on show, but it was Barnsley who went in at half-time leading. A fantastic goal from Connor Chaplin, who's banging form at the moment after scoring a hat-trick last week, but really well taken from him to go in front. And then in the second half, Barnsley looked to step it up a gear. They were creating more chances. They looked to go out a little bit more, and Millwall were really found to be frustrated for a lot of this one. You know, Barnsley really did a number on them. They stopped them from playing. Obviously, Millwall have been on a fantastic run as well, and at the Den, they just don't lose many matches, so this is a real statement from Barnsley here. Millwall did get back into the game though and looked to score the equaliser, and the game looked to be heading towards a draw after Matt Smith's original header was followed in by O'Brien. But Barnsley stepping up in the 94th 54th minute to claim all 3 points. Some brilliant work from Luke Thomas to win the ball back from Jed Wallace. He then swung the ball into the box, and then Schmidt with a fantastic header into the bottom corner gave Barnsley all 3 points and has really given them a lifeline for the season now. Then we had QPR drawing 2-2 against Charlton, a really topsy-turvy game this one. QPR took the lead after just 6 minutes through Jeff Cameron. A ball swung in by Eze from a free kick. Charlton probably could have done better defending this one. Saw practically lay Cameron off, bringing it down in the box for him. But from then onwards, QPR really should have gone to kill off this game, and Inaki Wells had some golden opportunities. He had one that just went over the bar, but then he was sent through on goal, had all the time in the world, and somehow didn't convert it. A championship striker with that much time going through on goal really should be finishing that every time of day, but for whatever reason, he doesn't seem to be playing with much confidence at the moment, and the keeper made a save. After that, in the second half, then Lyle Taylor got back on the score sheet for Charlton after converting from close range. QPR reacted well again though. Asai Samuel with some really nice footwork got the ball into Mark Pugh, and he had the tap in to make it 2-1. From then onwards, QPR continued to create chances, so did Charlton. Taylor hit the post. But at 2-1, QPR, they should have just gone to kill off the game from here really, and it should have already been game over by this point. But Charlton hung in there, and it was QPR's fault ultimately for not hanging in there. The ball was swung in, I think it was Kane with the header over his own defence, and then Sarr was onto the spot to convert with a cool finish past Joe Lumley to make it 2-2. So all things considered, a decent point on the road for Charlton. QPR, frustrating result. Then we had Reading getting back to winning ways with a 3-0 home victory over Derby. Derby really not on a good run at the moment. They are one of the sides enduring quite a winless streak at this point in time, but they got off to an absolute horror start to this match. Scott Malone being sent off after 4 minutes, and Reading took the lead from the penalty spot. The Derby defence was nowhere to be seen for this one. Yaku Mete racing through on goal. Malone tried to recover, stupidly put 2 hands in the back of him and brought him down. Then Charlie Adams slotted that penalty away, and Derby are playing with 10 men for the rest of this game. Derby, they did have the chances to get back into it. I mean, they hit the post and crossbar and probably should have had a penalty of their own. But at the back, they were so lacklustre. You can maybe put that down to them playing with a man light, but even so, Reading were opening them up far too easily. John Swift, I thought, had a real impact on this game when he came on, obviously returning from an injury. The tempo seemed to be a lot higher from Reading when he was on the pitch, and a fantastic assist for the second goal from John Swift. Into Lucas Jow, he made it 2-0. The third goal being another penalty. I don't think many Derby fans can have many complaints about that one. Mete stuck that away. 3-0 Reading. They're back in business. For Derby, just meandering down the table at the moment. Then we have Brentford picking up a point away at the Hawthorns. I actually thought they gave a really good account of themselves in this one. For the first half especially, they were playing some absolutely brilliant football. Created a lot of openings. Ben Rama, as he usually is, very busy for this one. Created a lot of chances, making things happen as they go forward. And Sam Johnson was really kept on his toes for this one. And Bimo, in the fantastic goal scoring form that he's on at the moment, he had a great chance after a really nice slick counter-attacking move from Brentford, but Sam Johnson just about got his body behind that one. But ultimately, it was two quite unlikely goal scorers for these two sides. Dalsgaard giving Brentford the lead from the corner they had in the 43rd minute, and it wasn't really too long that West Brom were trailing for, really. They had a corner of their own a few minutes later, and Daniel Furlong levelled things up going into half-time. For the second half, there wasn't really as much in it between the two sides. Both sides were really going for this one. Both sides playing some really nice football throughout. Charlie Austin did have the ball in the back of the net for West Brom, but that one was ruled out for offside, and ultimately these two ended up cancelling each other out. So also, I don't think that's a bad point for either side, to be honest. They both played some really good football. Brentford gave a good account of themselves. Come the end of the season, I think both sides have a fantastic chance of promotion. And then on Sunday, we saw Sheffield Wednesday beating Bristol City by 1-0, a result which does see Sheffield Wednesday sat third in the table going into Christmas. Now, looking at the match stats, this one and the general flow of the game, Sheffield Wednesday were the better side. They were creating the better opportunities, and I mean, Bristol City's best chance of this one probably came about 15 seconds in. It was a nice move going forward, and Callum O'Dowda just dragged his shot wide. But apart from that, didn't really offer that much going forward and cause that many threats going forward for Sheffield Wednesday. Wednesday, for the second half, I thought really came alive. The two players that stood out to me were Kadeem Harris. He was causing all sorts of problems for Bristol City, but especially Barry Bannon really dictating the tempo of this game, had some brilliant passes and was making Sheffield Wednesday tick moving forward. He really showed his quality in this one. I was really impressed by Bannon. He had one particular free kick in the second half which was excellently saved by Daniel Bentley, almost an absolute worldie from him. But ultimately the game was decided by a penalty late on. Was it a penalty? Another very soft one. We've seen some very soft penalties being given this weekend, but Newhugh was adjudged to have been fouled. I wouldn't have given it as a penalty myself. I thought it was quite soft, but Barry Bannon stuck that away and to give Sheffield Wednesday all 3 points. In terms of the general flow of the game, I thought that Wednesday were the better side and probably deserved to win it, but in the way that they did with that soft penalty, Bristol City will probably feel hard done by. But there we have it. That will now wrap it up for today's episode of the Championship Roundup. Obviously, going on tonight, we do have the local encounter going on between Blackburn and Wigan. We'll be talking through that game in tomorrow's video. In terms of my goal of the weekend, I think I'm going to give it to Lewis Wing of Middlesbrough for that cracking win he scored against Stoke City on Friday. Then for my result of the weekend, I'm I'm going to give it to Barnsley, you know, picking up their first away win of the season, a result which sees them lifted off bottom of the table and to within 1 point of safety. Barnsley get my result of the weekend. But apart from that, guys, that will now wrap it up for today's video. So if you did go on to enjoy, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. Make sure you subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. But apart from that, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.